Today, what I'm going to go over might be kind of controversial, might offend some people, but I think it's important to go over this for the sake of your health and your weight loss and the longevity of your health journey, because we don't want to just, lose weight because we're exercising, we're eating well, but then there's a missing piece that makes us always gain weight. Why do we stop eating well? Why do we stop exercising? So, what I'm going to talk about today is how being a good parent is keeping you overweight. Being a good parent is actually keeping you overweight. Now, what does this mean? To break this down, ladies, I want to talk about, what happens when you become a parent, okay? And maybe if you don't have kids, you can relate with nieces and nephews or your spouse. Just think about your favorite people in the world, okay? In the world right now, okay? What happens as soon as you become a parent for the first time? You now have a full-time job. 24/7, there is no breaks ever. Even when you get a break, your mind doesn't get a break. You are now forever worried, forever thinking, forever planning. You don't ever get a break, right? The second you become a parent, it is now your full-time job to take care of this other human, right? I have to take care of this human. Now, what is your, let's say, biggest job as a parent? What do you think your biggest job as a parent is? Because what I would say is to get this child prepared to be on their own. Survival, right? If you can't do that, you haven't done a good job, right? Your child's in trouble. And so if one day it's going to come where you no longer are there, or they're no longer in your control, and you can't watch them and parent them like you once used to, and they, fly the nest, as you say, how do you make sure that they are prepared to do that? How do you make sure that it goes from your number one job from taking care of them to their number one job of taking care of themselves? How do you make sure that that's actually going to happen? What do you think? Is it, talking to them about how to do the laundry, talking to them about how to pay bills? Is it showing them videos on how to do this? Is it, them watching how you take care of them over all the years? What do you think is the biggest factor that determines whether or not a child is going to be successful when you can't be there anymore? And this goes for children of any age, whatever phase you're in. The number one factor is, do you take care of yourself? The best way to teach a child how to take care of themselves is for them to watch how you take care of yourself. And so if we bring this full circle back to health and weight loss, all my moms out there, how have you been showing up? Not even just for your kids. Let's talk about the people you love in your life. Have you been showing up for yourself in order to show up better for them? How have you really been showing up? How are you helping others reach their potential? Have you been striving to reach yours? Now, I know that is easier said than done, of course. And I know it's hard to show up for yourself. It's hard to show up for yourself when you do have so much on your plate, so many people to take care of. I get it. But if you really want to do what's best for your family, if you don't just want to be a good parent, but a great parent, you must first show up for yourself in order to then show up for your kids or your family, right? Think about it like this. Would you rather fly in a plane with a pilot that's had 1 hour of experience flying a plane? Or would you rather fly in a plane with somebody who's never flew a plane, but they have 500 hours of reading all about planes? Well, neither of those options is amazing, and I'd be nervous for either of those options. However, I'm going to take the pilot who's only flown for 1 hour. Now, that's what I'm asking you to do. I'm not asking you to be a 50-year vet pilot. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking you to show up for yourself and start getting experience showing up for yourself. Because as women, we are really good at not doing that. We are really good at showing up for other people, even when we barely have an ounce of strength left. We always show up. We always do what needs to get done. except when it comes to ourselves. What is up with that? What is up with that? Right? You don't let your kids eat a tub of Ben and Jerry's at night. You don't want that for them. You don't want your kids to be emotional eaters, stress eaters. You don't want your kids to be not people of their words, and you want them to work out when they say they're going to work out, not skip workouts even though they said they're going to do it. You don't want them to be slaves to their cravings and their urges. And so it starts with showing up. So how do we do this better, right? If you're listening to me talk right now, that means you are in some way trying to show up for yourself. Whether that you're successfully doing it, whether there's room for growth, whatever, you're here, that's the first step, right? But one of the best ways for you to understand how can you show up better is asking yourself, what would I tell my kid? If my kid, my child, felt the way that I feel right now, what advice would I give to them? Ask yourself that right now. If your child was struggling, or they fell off and they were beating themselves up, or they haven't been making it a priority to put themselves first, what would you say to your child? Well, definitely not what we say to ourselves, at least some of the time, right? You're not going to tell your child, why would you do that? You know better than that. No, you're going to encourage them to try again, because health never stops. And so why waste a second on the past? Be fully present in what you know needs to get done so that you can continue to do those things in the future. So if you really want the best life possible and the best health possible, which you do, because you are sitting here listening to me talk right now. Most people don't do that. Most people are watching their TV shows. Most people are scrolling on their phones, mindlessly snacking, and they're not even hungry. That's what most people are doing. But you are here because you know you want to change, and you are making a change. And so whenever you feel like it's easier to put somebody else first, or somebody else has to come first, you must ask yourself, how would I want my child to act in this situation? What would benefit everybody the most? And it usually always stems back to you taking care of you. You taking care of you. Seriously, think about it. If you are always putting people first, you're going to start resenting these people, even though you love them, even though you love doing things for them because you want them to be happy, but you're going to start resenting them. And then who wins in that situation? Nobody. Right? There's things along your health journey that you're going to have to set boundaries for. Your kids are going to be upset. Your family might be upset. Your friends might not think you're cool anymore. You might ruffle your husband's feathers. You're going to piss people off because you're actually taking this serious this time. And most people don't. Most people don't. Most people just want a quick fix before vacation, before their kid graduates and they're about to go in pictures. That's not what this is. You see, self-love is not vanity. Self-love is sanity. It's sanity. Do you feel like you're going to pull your hair out sometimes? When do you feel like that? When is that? When you feel like you're always one step behind. Nobody's happy. You've let people down. Things aren't getting done. It's chaos around you. You want to pull your hair out. What has happened when you feel that way? Every time. Guess what? You didn't put yourself first that day, did you? Think back to a time where you were stressed. You want to pull your hair out. You did not prioritize what would make you feel good, whether that's a workout, whether that's getting up a little early for some quiet time, whether that was, prepping a hard-boiled egg, because that's all you could do. You didn't make actions that would make yourself proud because you put everybody else first. And then you wasted your energy on them, which not always a waste, but you've used up energy on them. You don't have anything for yourself. At the end of the day, you're a shell. You are a shell. You're walking around like a shell. So self-love, I want to get this across. Self-love is not a feeling, okay? It's not looking in the mirror and saying, you are worthy, you are beautiful, I love you, thank you, body. That's not what self-love is. Now that's helpful, but that's not what self-love is. Guess what self-love is? It's not this warm and fuzzy feeling you have about yourself. Self-love is a lifestyle. Self-love is a choice. Self-love are everyday actions. Self-love is the approach you take to health. It is not a feeling. In fact, you shouldn't be feeling feelings of love for yourself. It should be a neutral feeling. You don't have to feel these things. You act out of love. You ever have a boyfriend back in the day say all the things you want to hear? They say all the things you want to hear. But in your gut, you knew it wasn't right. In your gut, you knew that he didn't mean it, but yet you were still tricked by the words. Same idea with yourself. Don't listen to the words. You don't have to affirm yourself all the time. What are your actions saying? Actions speak louder than words. Have your actions been proving and accepting the self-love lifestyle? The only way you are successful on a weight loss journey, ladies, only way is if you actually embrace self-love. Now, here's the thing about, and the cool thing about self-love is you don't have to like yourself. You don't have to like yourself to love yourself. Liking yourself comes from you accomplishing things worth liking. That's it. I started to like myself when I started to do more cool stuff. I think I'm probably the coolest person in my life. And that's how I hope you view yourself. Because you're going out there and you're racking up this evidence, you're racking up these accomplishments that make yourself proud, that make you seem extraordinary. Like you do hard things when you don't want to. You can make yourself uncomfortable and still push forward. You're a great listener. You do all these things. You have proof to like who you are. But if you have excess weight on your body, that shows me to some degree you do not love yourself. If you truly loved yourself, would you be hurting yourself this way? That's a crazy question, I know. If you truly, every ounce of your being, loved and appreciated yourself, would you be abusing the only vehicle you get in life? Because what I'm about to say might sound crazy, but I can guarantee you, you will not reach your potential. You will not live a fulfilling life. You will not live a happy life if you are not in the body that you dream of. Why is that? It's not because we're superficial. Guess what? Let's say you're going to go on a road trip. You're going to go on this beautiful, amazing road trip. And you jump in the car and everybody you love is coming with you. Everybody you love's going on this trip. You're so excited. And then you get in the car and then the tank is on empty. You got to go fill up. And then you fill that up. Then the engine light comes on. You got to go change the oil. You got to pull over. And now this road trip's taking a long time. And then one of the tires pops. You got to change a tire. And then it starts making this weird noise and it shuts down in the middle of the highway. And you see, if you think of the car as your body, you can't enjoy the journey of life if you're in a crappy car. You can still have moments of fun. You're with the people that you love. You're going on adventures. You're going on trips. You're doing great things. You can still have fun, but you're not going to thoroughly enjoy the journey. And when you look back on the journey, you're going to have a lot of bad memories looking back on, which we don't need and they're not helpful. Right? So there's nothing wrong with not liking yourself. In fact, that's probably one of the biggest motivators as to what kicks people in the butt to get started on a weight loss journey, not liking where you're at. But I promise you, if you continue to lose weight and don't focus on the self-love part, you'll just gain it back. It's going to happen because guess what? If you don't truly love yourself, you don't respect yourself. And the highest form of respect is treating your body with love, with health, with nutritious foods, with movement. That's self-love. It's actions. It's not a feeling that we just hope and think about and then we'll get. It's showing yourself that you love yourself, regardless of how you feel or about yourself, regardless of if you like yourself, right? And so too many women that I talk to all the time, I jump on calls with all the time, they are going on the road trip of life in a crappy vehicle, in a vehicle that they're not proud to speed down the highway, in a vehicle that is slowing down them getting to their fun and their adventures. You cannot live a happy life unless we figure out this health problem. And it starts with loving yourself, which only happens when you prioritize yourself permanently. Now that looks different every day. Okay. It doesn't mean every day you're saying, screw you, I'm going to the gym for 2 hours. You can feed yourself, right? Like, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Usually self-love starts with setting boundaries because it's saying that you care more about yourself than you do about pissing somebody else off if it means it's better for you. Too often do we care about what other people think, right? Right? If the chips in the house are a trigger for you and you remove the chips and the kids are pissed off and then you bring them back in the house, what does that signal to everybody in the house? You're not serious. Now, I'm not saying that you need to impose your eating habits on your children. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you have to say chips are bad to your children. We're not trying to form disordered eating here. What I'm saying is if you're going to have a boundary, you better follow through regardless of if there's repercussions. Because guess what? There are repercussions no matter what decision you make. And just to tell you, indecisions, not making a decision is you making a decision. You made the decision. Or life makes the decision for you. And then you doubt your ability. And then we get disconnected from our gut and our intuition. And if we're disconnected with our intuition, which is our connection to the universe, how can you truly love yourself if you are part of the universe? You are energy. It's a crazy cycle. Is this making sense? Is this making sense? Pretty crazy, right? So self-love really is not vanity. It is all about getting your sanity back, which is why most of us gained weight in the first place, because we lost our sanity a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And so if you take anything away from this call, it is, parent yourself. Parent yourself with tough love. Set boundaries that are going to ruffle some feathers. If a boundary hasn't ruffled feathers, it means it wasn't a boundary. Sorry. I'm going to say that again for the ladies in the back. If a boundary didn't ruffle somebody's feathers, it wasn't a boundary. You played it safe. I know it's crazy. It's crazy. So whether you are a parent, you have kids or you don't, that's not my point. This is applicable to everybody across the world right now. You gotta love yourself. Like, seriously, how can you love anybody else if you don't really love yourself? Right? If you don't have all of the love for yourself, you're actually withholding loving other people more. You think you love your kids? You think you love your husband? Guess how that love will grow when you actually tap into your self-love. You have no idea. You have no idea the love that you are capable of sharing. The more love you have, the more energy you have. The more energy you have, the more you can get done. The more impact you can make. The more amazing and indescribable your life can be. Not mediocre. Gross. Everybody else is doing that. They're just waking up, going to work, coming home, watching their shows, eating their favorite snack, going to sleep, working for the weekend. Weekends, they splurge because that's the only days that they enjoy out of their life. If you love yourself, you're present, you appreciate, you act different. People will act different around you, to you. You command more respect. When you start setting boundaries, if you're somebody that hasn't set boundaries and you start setting boundaries, people are going to get really off put. They're like, who, used to be so nice and likable, right? But that's not, I don't know. Do you want to, on your deathbed, do you want your tombstone to say, Jessica was so likable and nice? Is that what we want? How do you want to be described? Sometimes I think about this. This is crazy. Sometimes I think about, what's my eulogy going to be like? At my funeral, what are people going to say about me? And I think it's such a cool exercise because it shows you who you want to be. Really, I want I want people to say I had integrity. I helped millions of people. I was a woman of my word. I worked so hard. I had a passion. I want all these wonderful things said about me. And I think if you take the time to think about what you want said in your eulogy, you'll be able to align, this is what I want people to say about me because this is who I truly want to be. That being that person would get me the most amount of success in life. But who am I now? Where's that gap? Right? What am I doing that's slowing down the process of me becoming that butterfly, right? From a caterpillar to a butterfly. What's happening? What's happening in your life? Is it the absence of boundaries? Is it always putting everybody else first, running around every day like a chicken with your head cut off? When does it end? When do you put your foot down and ruffle some feathers to get yours calm again? Because I see it time and time again, when you do these short little stints of trying to lose weight, we just want to lose weight, but we don't realize, how did the weight get there in the first place? Weight is literally stored energy, because we gain weight from eating too many calories or not burning enough calories. That's how you're gaining weight, right? We had too many calories. Calorie is an energy source for our body. So we've literally ate more energy than we've needed, and it gets stored on our body. If you've got extra fat on your body right now, that is stored energy, stored, dormant, asleep energy. That is dangerous. The universe does not reward those who sit still. And I don't mean literally sit still. I mean their energy is not used up. Their mental, their physical, their spiritual, emotional energy. All the extra weight we have on our bodies that's not supposed to be there is stored energy, aka stored emotion. You are carrying around emotion. If you are tired of how you are feeling day to day, if you are tired of how you are feeling, it is because this weight is a symptom of the life that you have built, or the lack of boundaries that you've set, or the lack of self-love that you are trying to prove to yourself. So we're done with the era of saying positive affirmations in the mirror. It's not working. That's like step one. And all you ladies are way past step one at this point. You don't need that anymore. Self-love is not a feeling. No more positive affirmations. It's time to make a choice and never look back. Never look back. Okay? Because you do only get one car. You do only get one body. And you only get one life. What do you want people to say at your eulogy, It's really important to put yourself first. And like I said, it's just, if you really want to be like a great human, a great parent, if you're tired of just being good, right? Like, can we be honest here? If we're good at everything, can you really get great at anything? If you're a mom and you feed your kids on time and you get them to school on time and you get them to their extracurriculars on time, but you're impatient with them and you're a little snippy with them, and at the end of the day you're tired so you can't spend time with them, that's you being a good mom, not a great mom, right? And listen, I get it. We have those days. I have those days. But if we're good at everything, how can we be great at anything? I think it's time. I think it's the era of saying screw you to being good, and time to be great. Be great at putting you first. As women, we tend to not like conflict, and we like to keep the peace, and because we're fairly good at it. But at what point is keeping all the peace externally ruining the peace internally? Don't always put other people before you, even if it annoys you, right? Like if your girlfriends always want to go out for drinks on a Friday night, and that's just not who you are anymore, then you can recommend, hey, let's go bowling, let's go rock climbing, let's go to a coffee shop and have some tea. It doesn't have to always be food related. And if they think you're boring, if they say no, then maybe they're not the right friends for this phase of your life anymore. And that might be hard to hear. And so, like, when in doubt, when life feels like you can't put yourself first, I gotta tell you, there's no other option. It only gets worse. It only gets worse. Because when we are not good, we make bad food decisions, which affect our mood, which then affects us and makes more bad decisions. It is a snowball effect. But here's the good news. It snowballs in the bad direction, but it can snowball real quick in the good direction. Real quick. We tend to forget that when we're in the rut. It can take 24 hours to get you back on a good cycle. That's why one of our mottos in Tremera is fail faster. Fail faster. I didn't say stop, don't fail. I said fail faster. Get over it. Move on, learn. Learn, move on. Learn, move on. Who was it that invented the light bulb? Was that Thomas Edison? I think it was Thomas Edison. It took him over 10,000 tries to figure out the light bulb. And when they tried for the 10,000th time, his partner said, okay, finally, are you going to give up? Is this clear to you that it's not going to work? And Edison smiled and he just said, Well, no, I just figured out 10,000 ways not to build a light bulb. I'm getting closer. Why can't we think like that? Why can't we think like that? Do you imagine, like, would life phase us at all if we were able to actually think like that? Nothing. Nothing is a problem. If we are alive, we are breathing, and we have our health, and we have our family. Nothing is a problem. You got to up your tolerance, which means you got to take care of yourself.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. If you got any value at all, I'd love it if you left a 5-star review to help more women find this podcast and get the support that they need. And if you're looking to speed up your weight loss and take your transformation to the next level, then head on over to Trimera.com. TRIMMERA.com. I'll catch you on the next episode, and welcome to your Trim Era.